Remembering Connecticut. Connecticut's War at Home. In the year 1905, the United States was at peace. No foreign army threatened its borders, no enemy navy menaced its beaches. Yet a military buildup was the order of the day in the Connecticut legislature. The Military Affairs Committee was considering a petition signed by nearly all the large manufacturing interests and also by many prominent citizens of Bridgeport, calling for a machine gun battery for the Bridgeport Armory. What were the manufacturers afraid of? Over the preceding century, Connecticut had become an industrial state, and a large proportion of its population were workers, many of them immigrants from abroad. Connecticut's business and political leaders feared their workers might organize to strike or revolt. When strikes spread across the nation's railroads in 1877, Connecticut's governor, Richard D. Hubbard, described them as riots marked by lawlessness, which seemed to attract not only many turbulent elements in the laboring classes, but the idle, the vicious, the outlaw, and the thief. In response to his comments, the Connecticut legislature the next year passed an act to regulate the calling out of the military force of the state, to give the governor more control of the local militias. In the half-dozen years before the Bridgeport manufacturers petitioned for their machine guns, Connecticut had developed hundreds of Union locals and seen over 400 strikes. When Waterbury's trolley men struck in 1903, the Connecticut National Guard was sent into Waterbury to protect strikebreakers. The call for Gatling guns, in short, was an effort to contain labor unrest. As a reporter from the Bridgeport Standard testified,
with the general class of working men in Bridgeport in the large mills, the tendency is to rapidly form mobs. With a machine gun, they could be very quickly quelled.
Colonel Rogers of the Connecticut National Guard spoke for the Bridgeport manufacturers and drew lessons from a recent strike in Chicago.
There is nothing in case of a riot or disorder that will quell a mob any quicker than a Gatling gun. The history of the recent labor troubles in Chicago show the need of these guns. With all the state militia there, they couldn't keep the rioters away from the slaughterhouse grounds until they got their 4 Gatling guns. Then they had no trouble protecting their property.
The legislators gave the Bridgeport manufacturers their machine guns with hardly a whisper of opposition. Meanwhile, other Connecticut manufacturers were also calling for military protection in the form of a new armory in Hartford. Charles Gross, a prominent Hartford attorney and a leader of the Board of Trade, told the Military Affairs Committee,
"Protection should be afforded first to the state capitol and state property, second to the city hall and city property, third to the great tax-paying corporations, whose money goes largely to the support of the National Guard, and who have a right to ask for protection to their property. The location of the armory, therefore, should be made with reference to quick service in rendering protection to the property specified."
By 1909, Hartford had its new armory on Broad Street and Capitol Avenue, where it stands today. And the Connecticut National Guard boasted the highest ratio of guardsmen to the general population of any state in the Union. Guardsmen trained and maintained to protect it, not against a foreign invader, but against the actions of its own people.